Patreon episode.
Give me your phone.
That sounds like a safe idea.
Make sure you unlock it.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I was going to put your phone in there, but I'll put my phone in there.
The back of the
And to
case
take
is
the
now
picture.
blocking the camera.
You guys are doing great.
I'll figure it out.
I like how now we're starting the show while Nick is taking a picture of a manatee.
Yeah.
This will be fine. From fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, real therapists, and real therapist sister. It's going to be a good one. If you'd like to write into the show, send your questions to Wait, what's our email address? PodTherapyGuys.
PodTherapyGuys@gmail.com.
Yes.
You're nailing it. Keep going.
Oh, okay. And now, that guy's Dr. Jim Jobin. I'm Tits McGee. Let's do some pod therapy.
Nailed it.
I feel like that was more or less what you do.
Yeah.
Semi-pro.
It wasn't an improvement, but sometimes, we've been doing this for long enough that anything different is good. So
It's Jim Jobin and Nick Tangeman. Time for some motherfucking therapy.
I liked his impression better whenever he's doing the old-timey Nick Tangeman.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Old-timey radio
yeah,
Nick
there we go.
Tangeman.
okay, we're doing it again.
I'm going to take the picture.
What are you talking about? Oh, I thought you wanted the phone in there.
From fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, and real therapists. Is that the line? I think that's the line. This is the part of the music where I say something funny. So consider yourself amused.
Midwestern humor.
Right over there, that's Dr. Jim Jobin. I'm Nick Tangeman. It's time for some pod therapy.
Oh, nailed it.
Nailed it.
Damn. He still got it. So Nick,
How you doing, Dr. Jim?
Oh, I'm doing very good. Tits McGee.
That's not how you talk.
Oh, sorry. I gotta channel the
I don't know why
energy
you're doing
of-
an impression of yourself.
Yeah, I'm very good at improv. So we have a special guest today,
We
Nick.
do.
Today's our special. Who's our special guest today?
We got my sister, Karie.
Yay!
She's been contributing to the show financially for a long time.
Thank you.
So she finally has earned her seat.
Yes.
So you've never listened to it, huh?
Yeah, no, this is my first time.
Okay.
Long time giver, first time participation.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's only downhill from what you've experienced so far.
How many regrets are you dealing with currently?
Yeah. Rounding to the nearest dozen.
Well, she didn't get a manatee, so that's a start.
Yeah, or an alligator paw. Actually, you can have this one if you want. My mom gave me that one, but I'm honestly really creeped out by it. just holding like this like, it's the hand of an alligator that clearly stole something from Iraq and was like capital punished here, and I just feel really uncomfortable.
It's definitely a baby too. It's definitely
Oh,
a baby
stop!
gator.
Don't call them babies. I don't feel like that's the appropriate word.
Yeah.
It's mini monster.
Alligator babies will not, they're not going to really injure you when they bite you.
Yeah.
But it hurts like a motherfucker.
Oh, I'll bet
They bite and they hold on.
And do they roll? Do they try to do the roll thing? They probably take a
Hey,
finger.
they might, but they'll like grab your finger and they will hold on to the point where you can just lift them up. And they just hold on to it and they're just dangling there.
They lockjaw on
When you say baby alligator, how long are you talking? Oh,
Yeah,
okay, so about
18
18
inches.
inches. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
16, 18 inches
I
long.
still don't want to bump into that.
They're
Yeah.
much cuter when they're that size.
Yeah,
Jeez.
I'm sure.
Alligator trivia, very strong on this episode. I feel like that'll be a good one.
Alligator eyes glow red if you hit them with a flashlight, or if you shine a flashlight on them. If you hit them with a flashlight,
Smack 'em with a
they
flashlight.
kill you.
I've seen
They
the
just
cartoons.
murder you
I
right
believe
there.
little stars pop out
Yeah.
of their head, and also red circles.
But if you shine a flashlight
yeah.
at them in the dark,
that's right.
then their eyes glow like a bright red.
The
It's
more
real
you know.
creepy.
Interesting.
It's real easy to find alligators at night. You just have a bright flashlight.
There you
Those are the
go.
words I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's kind of like scorpion finding, except when you find them, you get murdered.
So hi, Karie.
Hello.
What do you know about alligators?
That's why you're here.
Yeah. Awesome. I've held one.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Damn.
Yes, in
It's a start.
Louisiana.
Good.
Yes, I've eaten one.
What?
Okay.
Yes.
Louisiana or Florida?
Louisiana.
Okay.
Ugh. Really?
Yeah.
Alligator's
Yeah.
pretty good meat.
Ew.
Yeah.
No. Everything about this.
When you're in when you're in Louisiana, you've
It's not
gotta
like
embrace.
It's not like
When
the
in
best
Rome.
thing ever, but like it's pretty good.
Yeah.
when in Louisiana, you do not Louisiana. All right,
No,
that's how you get tetanus.
The only thing you want to do in Louisiana is eat anything that anybody puts in front of you.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I want to
That's
try them
definitely
beignet things.
Oh, they're
yes.
the best.
You guys have really sold the beignet.
Yeah.
Just the best thing ever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know about the alligator though. I'm gonna tell you.
true. Oh, in the gumbo shop. Was that, what was it called? Down in the French Quarter. I was telling you about it, and you're like, oh, yeah, I've been
Bubba
there.
Gumps.
No, it's the gumbo.
Bubba Gump.
It's
That's it.
it's like Gumbo Store or something like that. Gumbo Store or Gumbo Shop or
I hope
something
it's like an
that.
Apple store.
Oh,
Now I got to look it up.
yeah,
I think it's
fine.
Gumbo Emporium
Oh, so
That's it.
and Bait Shop. Depends on when
Probably.
you get there. Well, Karie, we're excited to have you today. Thank you for supporting the show for so long.
You bet.
Unfortunately, for those of you hoping that the Patreon will just be filled with Karie ripping into her little brother and just, bringing him to tears.
Oh, we ran out of time. Isn't that funny?
That didn't happen. None of that happened in Patreon. Much to my dismay, it turns out they like each other.
It's almost like
What is this bullshit?
almost like I kind of steered the direction in the right way to like avoid that. It was
Yeah.
kinda weird.
Well, I'm
You
sure
know-
she has like a book of secrets, which you can.
Oh,
text
she
me.
knows.
Yeah.
If
all the
anybody, if there's
secrets.
anybody, there's two people on Earth that I'm actually afraid of.
One of them's dead.
Being
and
on
one of
the
them's
show.
Carrie.
Two
Today's the
people
day.
on Earth that I'm really concerned about ever being on the show because they know too much.
Okay. One's my psychic.
One of them is Karie,
Yeah.
and the other is our therapy producer Ben.
Oh, okay. Ben. Oh, yeah, from Indiana?
Yeah.
Did you know Ben growing up?
Oh, yeah. I know a lot of secrets about Ben, too.
Oh, Ben.
That could be a really good
I have to
podcast.
protect Ben. He finances the show.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want to Nick. I don't care.
Yeah, yeah.
I will protect you, Dr. Ben.
And I am staying at Nick's for 2 more nights, so...
How's the
I've
mildew?
gotta-
How is the watery hellhole that is his downstairs?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. So everything's all tore up in the downstairs level.
It's pronounced toe up.
because of the flooding in previous episodes, which we've already talked about.
Yes.
So the toilet has been removed. So there's basically just a rag and stuffing in that sewer pipe
Oh,
to keep
that's
the noise.
so gross.
As it turns out, my dogs really like to pull that rag out. So I gotta keep a close eye on them.
Oh,
keep that,
no.
Yeah, it's not like I have a door that I can close to keep them out of there because they just walk through the wall.
Somehow,
Right.
this situation now has the potential to actually get worse.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you
But
picked
no,
a great
it's
time to
it's
come.
funny because so she's in town for work.
Mm-hmm.
Her business, her coworkers, they had an Airbnb. So when I picked her up from the airport, I drove her over there. I saw this Airbnb, the in-ground pool, the 6 bedrooms, the high ceilings.
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm like,
They got the
and
party
I
house.
told her, I was like, enjoy this.
Yeah.
Enjoy this right now. Because she went from that to my place.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm
yeah.
like you got walls and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. There's not,
You guys
there's not
are-
an inch of water on the ground. The dogs don't have a shit rag in their mouth. Pretty nice kicks here.
So I was like,
Pretty
yeah.
highfalutin, sis.
Yeah. And Nick charges more to stay with him, so not
That's
a great
awkward.
time.
Yeah.
Well, you definitely traded down, but
Yeah, well-
it happened.
What are you gonna
It's
do?
all about quality time.
That's right. So
Yeah.
how much longer are you in town for?
2 more nights.
Yeah.
Wow,
I leave.
good
I
memory.
leave
She just
Thursday.
said that less than 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, who are you?
I leave Thursday.
Okay,
Thursday night.
great.
So
Well, you came during the cold snap and during our amazing sandstorm. Did you see that yesterday?
that was quite impressive.
If she was in town, she saw it.
Yeah.
Dude, you couldn't see anything else.
Yeah.
Jesus, that was like a haboob, man. That
Yeah.
thing was crazy.
Yeah, it was
Horrible.
yeah, it was like
Did you get the little weather service alerts on
Oh,
your
yeah.
phones? That scared the hell out of me.
Yep.
Because of my tornado trauma. Those of you playing Jim's Neurotic Bingo at home, you can click that space. But we were discussing tornadoes because Karie was telling us about how they've happened to her. I grew up in, partially in Texas where there was tornadoes. And every time I hear that sound, I was like, ah, shit. This is it. Amber alert for tornadoes.
It's a vaguely yellow tornado. It's an amber tornado.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah, I don't think they had them back then. So, Karie, welcome to the show. Glad to have you with us. And as we do the questions, I know you never heard the show before. Thank you for blindly throwing money at it. You can weigh in with us. You're always welcome to throw in your own advice. You don't have to be a qualified expert. It's never stopped Jacob. So,
When Jim starts to talk, just shout him down.
yeah, it's fine.
It's a
And
technique that works.
If a poker chip comes sailing over the table, you just duck and dive.
Yep.
And you'll get it. All right. So first question we've got today, borderline personality disorder and cannabis from Erica, and I am not wearing my glasses, so we're going to see how much of this I get
Jim
right.
is like holding his iPhone
Up
out,
to-
out, like kind of away from his face.
It's like on
Landscape
my
mode.
eyebrows. All right. Hello, friends. I've been listening to the show for about a year now, and it's truly a highlight of my week. I love the show, and it's a tool in my arsenal of mental health self-care. For that and everything y'all do, thank you, and thank you. On to my situation.
Oh, there's more.
There is. Oh, damn. This question's downhill now. On to my question. I was recently diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Before that, I struggled with alcohol abuse disorder and depression. I haven't drank in 10 months, but I still abuse cannabis. I'd really like to stop smoking one day, but I'm just not there yet. I'd love to hear from y'all about how people break through addictions and move on to a life of sobriety. On the one hand, I already don't feel any joy without alcohol in my life, so I'm absolutely terrified to stop using the one thing I think brings me joy, cannabis. And on the other hand, I know it's largely the cause of my depression and lack of consistency and follow through on my life goals. My history also includes childhood trauma, mainly verbal abuse from one parent. Additionally, there's a family history of mental illness. On top of the substance abuse, I was recently diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, which was a long-time fear of mine. I have a bachelor's in psychology, and when I was in abnormal psych class, I was always fascinated and repulsed by personality disorders. After college, I worked briefly as a social worker and realized how much I disliked folks with mental illness, mostly because I didn't feel like I had the bandwidth due to my own mental health issues. I felt like people with borderline were definitely the worst to work with, though. Because of my substance abuse and poor mental health, I've alienated and totally cut out people throughout my life, and I feel very isolated. Now I know that cutting people out was actually me splitting, a typical trait of BPD. Knowing this, I'm trying to work with my therapist on DBT, and it's going pretty well. But it's hard not to feel down on myself sometimes, because I feel like I don't have any friends or close relationships. I do have a boyfriend, but no longer have any close friends. This has all been compounded by not drinking anymore, and subsequently losing those friends, and because of the pandemi levado, I think that means pandemic, I can't easily go out and make more friends.
I really like that name, though.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Honestly, most of the time I'm in a position to make new friends, I clam up. I don't even know what to say. I don't feel compelled to share anything. I just feel odd around new people. I feel very mechanical around others, like I'll only speak when spoken to. Anyway, IDK, what I'm really asking for, other than for you guys to speak to borderline treatment, substance abuse treatment for people with borderline, and how, if at all, I can stop feeling like everything in life is a chore. I rarely feel positive or hopeful. I feel like I'm in a permanent state of languishing. Thanks for all of your insight so far. I hope to hear from you. Smiley face, Erica.
That feeling of just permanent languish, that's standard. That's normal.
Yeah. That's called 2022.
Yeah, you're fine on that end.
Yeah, don't worry. That's all clear. Boy, there's a lot on that one, though, huh?
So, yeah, I mean, so first I think we should probably talk to where you're at in regard to your substance use, because that's definitely going to be an issue as far as, I mean, should you be quitting all of that to help to deal with the borderline personality disorder? I'm going to come out and say, if you really want to make progress with the borderline personality disorder diagnosis, you should probably look at abstaining from your substance use. And the reason being is because there's a lot of overlap between symptoms. So when we're talking about compulsiveness, we're talking about feelings of anxiousness, emotional imbalances and fluctuations, and all of that being out of control, it's really tough to work on a mental health diagnosis if you also have all of these other things that are contributing to it. It's almost like trying to get it's really hard to try to navigate all of that when you've got that compounding variable. So that would be my first take. It'd probably be a good idea to or at least take a look at quitting all that. And the things that you're saying as far as, yes, but it brings me joy. Yes, it does right now. And then when you stop, it's going to feel like a lot of that joy has been removed, but that's not permanent. That's a result of your body becoming dependent on that to experience joy.
Yeah.
With enough time, and, getting that out of your system, then you all of that will come back.
What kind of line, if any, do you draw between like physical dependency on drugs and more of a mental dependency on drugs?
I mean, mostly
kind of pertaining to something along these lines.
So like when we talk about physical dependency, dependency can best be defined by what happens when it's removed.
Right.
So there's biopsychosocial dependency. So biologically dependent on something, you notice it that you're biologically dependent on it when it's removed, and you experience physical withdrawal symptoms.
Okay.
So like with marijuana, you're really not going to get that. Psychologically,
You will.
You can.
There's cannabis withdrawal.
Yeah. No, I know. Well, yes, but I mean, a lot of it, most of it is psychological. It's not like intense biological withdrawal.
Right.
I mean, so the psychological withdrawal you're going to experience anxiety. You're going to experience a lot of things like that. And then there's socially dependent. So when you remove the substance, how does that impact your social functioning?
Right.
Are you no longer able to associate with people, or, do you no longer have interests like you used to have? Can you not fit in conversations or around other people? So there's all sorts of different levels of dependence. But again, like a lot of that it's just homeostasis. It's your body's way of maintaining balance when you're putting a substance in your body. It shifts it so that you can maintain balance. So then when you remove it, it's almost like a teeter-totter. So you put a whole bunch of stuff on one end, then your body has to adjust by putting stuff on the other end.
Right.
Then you remove that substance, you're going to crash down the other way. And so it's going to feel very intense. But eventually, your body realizes, oh, I need to take some of this stuff off.
Okay.
And it will eventually correct for a lot of that.
Yeah. So a couple of things to the writer. So first off, congratulations on getting rid of the alcohol. And I appreciate your thought of like, well, I don't exactly feel joy. Like I'm not feeling 100% since getting rid of the alcohol. And like, I think two thoughts on that. One, you kind of observed it in your own letter, but you got rid of one, but you're still self-medicating with another, which is cannabis. And if you feel like you're dependent on it, you're at a place where you're overly using it to the point where it's not helping you, which those are your words, not mine. Like you're the one who described that. You're allowed to your own truth. And so I would point that out and say, well, we're not there yet, are we?
And I would say if she says that it's not helping her, then
I take her at her word.
Probably not.
Yeah, I take her at her word. If she says, look, I gave up on, burgers, but I'm still binging French fries and I still feel like garbage. Okay. Well, you're halfway there. Keep working on it. And like she talks about that in her own letter, so I won't speak too much to that. But I do want to speak to borderline personality disorder. So BPD, borderline personality disorder, is a really interesting area of psychology. Personality disorders in general are really interesting, but borderline specifically is really interesting. So you've heard me, listeners, complain a lot on the show. It's been a while since I've really ranted about it, but how I don't like the overdiagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder. I get really frustrated with that.
This is it's been a while since he's ranted about this specific thing.
Thank you for the clarification.
Not since he's ranted about something.
Go to the Patreon for that. That's just happened. Yeah, I'm still recovering. But no, in this one, borderline personality disorder is one of those things that, and I'm not disputing your diagnosis at all, writer, but I just want to take a second to reflect on the disorder itself. It's one of those ones that's overdiagnosed in women, and especially young women, because the characteristics of borderline, I'll just recap them real quick, because a lot of people have never really looked into it, but things like frantic efforts to avoid real or imagined abandonment, patterns of unstable, intense personal relationships, which is like, I hate you, I love you, get away from me, I can't live without you. Like whenever you notice that like just oscillation from extreme to extreme, throwing them out, then calling them back like, I love you, let's get married. Marked, persistently unstable self-image or sense of self, impulsivity in multiple areas like self-damaging things like overspending, sex, substance abuse in this case, reckless driving, binge eating, recurrent suicidal behaviors, affective instability, so like the inability to regulate one's mood and feeling intense bouts of anxiety, irritability, sadness, chronic feelings of emptiness, inappropriate intense anger and trouble controlling anger, and transient stress-related paranoia and ideation, and sometimes dissociation.
I have like 90% of those all of the time.
There you go. And so,
I've been meaning to talk to you.
Yeah.
These aren't even recording, Karie.
Yeah.
This is an intervention.
Great.
Yeah. This was very elaborate when we got there, boys. We did it.
When you didn't get a manatee, how did you feel?
Yeah. Every
A little
step of
left
this
out.
has been
Very sad
carefully
and
set up.
emotional.
That's right. I've already planned how I'm going to murder 2 of you. But no, it's very relatable. But when it gets to that intensity level, then of course we do have a word for it where we can say, okay, this is now starting to get to a place where it's unhealthy for the human. They're self-damaging. Now we have words for that. But a lot of young women do get diagnosed with BPD because it's like, oh, these erratic mood swings or a history of relationships that haven't worked out or whatever, or feeling like too in love with somebody and then wanting them to go away. And they go, oh, you have BPD. So it's one of those things that historically has been used as a cudgel. And so it has to be used in a really careful way. And personality disorders in general, I've always had a very difficult relationship with. I don't like it whenever they're used to end a conversation. And too often they are. Too often they're the explanation point at the end of a sentence. Like, you know what? And in summary, you have narcissistic personality disorder. You have bipolar disorder. I can't deal with, or borderline personality disorder. I can't deal with you anymore. You have histrionic personality disorder. I like it when they open a conversation. And in this case, I like that BPD can open that conversation. If the person looks at this and goes, okay, I have those criteria. I've been diagnosed. I'm working on this. It is not uncommon in my patients that do have BPD that they have a lot of self-sabotaging behavior. And they do try to self-medicate with marijuana, with alcohol, with other drugs. They tend to have those binging cycles that can be sex-related, food-related, dating-related.
Personality disorders specifically have a high comorbidity with substance
abuse. So that whenever you ask that question writer, Erica, at the end of the question you said, so I guess my question is, what's the deal with borderline specifically dealing with this? Nick and I have treated so many patients that either have personality disorders in general in rehabs or in this case have BPD. And I'll tell you what you're already doing. So Erica mentioned DBT. And if you're having trouble hearing all these acronyms, I'm wearing an N95 mask, so I'm sorry. But DBT, I believe, is dialectical behavioral therapy. Yeah.
Yep.
So DBT is a subsidiary of CBT, and it specifically was designed for people with borderline.
Yeah.
And so there's really great workbooks that help with it too.
Person who created it, Marsha Linehan, had been diagnosed with borderline
BPD.
personality disorder.
And she was a therapist herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's a really great method. Not all therapists are trained at it very well, but it essentially helps them kind of realize and notice, do you see how extreme these behaviors are? Do you see how extreme these feelings are? Can we find the opposite of that? Can we look to the middle? Which is where the word dialectical comes from Hegelian philosophy of the dialect. So looking for the two opposites.
Are the workbooks you mentioned available online, and would you recommend using them without a therapist? Or would you only recommend those with a therapist?
It's a tricky thing because for a lot of people, saying out loud, I think I have borderline personality disorder, sounds like a slur. Mm-hmm. And you heard Erica talk about that, which I love this letter, Erica, because you are honing in on what so many people feel with personality disorders. Whenever she was learning about them in abnormal psych, and this is another thing, we have to talk about the stigma of BPD. Of all of the things that mental health professionals are terrified of, borderline personality disorder is way up there. Whenever I talk to, there's all these therapist forums that I'm a part of, and therapists will say, hi, it's Marketing Monday, I'm Jonathan, or I'm Becky, and just want to tell you about me, here's my specialities, and it's not uncommon that somewhere in their announcement they'll say, I don't work with BPD and I don't work with substance abuse. The two things that most mental health professionals are terrified of, addiction and BPD.
Yeah.
So you, Erica, are a unicorn. You are every therapist's nightmare. No, there's a lot of therapists, though, that don't know what to do with you.
Right.
And when she was doing abnormal psych, she was learning about it. And this is how it's presented. It's presented as like this monster. It's it'll get you.
It's presented that way within the field because, and I think a big part of it, too, is how it's talked about, just the language that it's used. Like, I've heard so many therapists say, oh, I have a borderline.
Right.
You have a borderline.
Right. It's like
as
a slur.
Opposed to I have a patient that has borderline.
Yeah.
I see.
They talk about it like that.
Huh.
And if you ever want to see Nick and I just lose our shit, that's
which I do.
Yeah, no.
I always enjoy that, as you well know.
It's funny because
where are your ethics?
I think exactly. As a general, I think most people would describe us as really friendly guys, but when we are around other professionals that should know better and they do shit like that,
right?
The foot up your ass is so quick. Dude, what are you doing? Don't talk about But that's exactly it. They say, I got a borderline, and it's it's one of those things you always take a deep breath and you go, so it sounds like you're struggling with your patient. Do you need help? Have you never worked with this before? Do you need coaching? Oh, I hate
Sounds like you're
working
struggling
with
with your
borderlines.
patient, who is an actual person.
Yeah, you monster. But it's a thing, and like among colleagues, they'll confess to each other like, boy, it's a hard population to work with. Which again, go back, flip back in your podcast and listen to the part where I read you the criteria. Yeah, that is a person who's, by the very definition of their disorder, difficult and extreme in their relationships, right? So they're very quick to like flip out of the relationship and leave therapy and say, you know what, I can't do this. You're attacking me. I don't feel safe. So I've definitely worked with borderline patients. And when I have, I take a very nuanced approach with them. And I already know what's going to happen. We're going to reach a point where they're like, Jim, I cannot live without you. You are so important to me. And I'll take a very mild view of like, wow, that's very nice to hear. I'm so glad therapy's working. Let's continue. And I bank in my head, I start the countdown. And eventually it's going to go the other way. And they're going to say to me, you know what? I just really feel like you weren't there for me on this. You didn't hear me on this. And I don't think therapy's working. And I think we should end this. And I'll say, I respect your decision. I'm here for you if you want to continue. But I encourage you to push through because I think that this is part of it.
And then Jim opens up the envelope that he put on his desk at the beginning of that session.
Yeah,
it has
right.
those words on it.
I say, reach under your chair.
Yeah.
What is taped under here? That was for you 6 months ago. Open it.
Yeah.
Also, is this your card?
Yeah. Oh, it's Ace of Spades. How did you know? I'm the best of Las Vegas. And here,
Silver.
Justin, is where we would drop the jingle that you didn't create for me.
Silver.
Yes. Damn it. Yeah, it's funny. I went to the Discord and I was like, will you guys create me a jingle? And then I immediately abandoned my idea when they were talking about using the theme song from Karate Kid and changing it to, what is the theme song? What was that song?
You're the best.
Oh, yeah, around. They wanted to change it to second best around. And I was like, never mind, I'm out. Like, I'm sorry I asked for this.
182nd best.
Yeah,
Around.
Yeah, so I've abandoned that idea, but
I lost to a non-mental health therapy clinic.
damn them occupational therapists stealing my trophies. It's a hard knock life.
Next year I'll lose to Jacob.
But there's
Who has a
also,
website now.
Oh no.
there's DBT. We talked about that. There's a couple other. There's dual focus schema therapy.
Yeah.
Which is used for addressing co-occurring disorders, specifically with with borderline and substance use.
Yeah.
Sorry, we got on a jag there. The workbooks that you mentioned, are they available online, and would you recommend them without a therapist or
That's
only
what made
with a
me
therapist?
think of the patients that I've worked with.
Yes.
So I usually... So
just in case the writer was like, oh, yes, I want the answer to that. Let's circle back to that.
So for other therapists that are listening, just a quick little PSA. And by the way, if you're a therapist or student or intern, I just posted on our Patreon a walkthrough of all the changes in the DSM-5 TR. So if you want to check that out, patreon.com/therapy. Or I think I just made the video public on YouTube. So if you just go into YouTube and you type in changes in the DSM-5 TR, you'll probably find my video. I don't think there's a lot of them out there, but go check it out.
It's very niche market.
I'm sure there's nobody else talking about it. But to other therapists, students, and interns, when I treat my borderline personality disorder patients, I don't ever bring up borderline personality disorder. A, because I just think personality disorders in general end conversations and do not lead to good places. I treat the symptoms. I don't need to tell them that there's a word to capture all this. I just treat the symptoms. And we keep working on it, and we try to work on abandonment. We try to work on role modeling, how to stay in their groove and find their right mind and like use it correctly. And if they need medication, we refer out for that. But I do have sometimes patients that will say, you know, do you have anything that will help me with this? And I'm very cautious with workbooks. There are really good BPD workbooks, but the problem is, on the front cover, it says borderline personality disorder, which, as we've already covered from Erica's letter and from what we were just sharing, many people interpret as a slur.
Sets off alarm bells.
Exactly. Same thing I do with my narcissistic personality disorder patients. I cannot tell them, go buy this workbook, and they go, hey, Jim, what the fuck? This cover says I'm a narcissist. And I go, oh, shit, that doesn't apply to you, Bob. Like, that was for other people. I just want you to read it for just the knowledge. You know?
Wait till you see the illustrations.
Yeah, you'll love it. Don't worry about it. So, like, I don't like that. So I usually don't do that. Sometimes I get to a place where I tell them, listen, we have a word that describes some of what you're going through. I haven't diagnosed you with that. Don't worry. I didn't write it down anywhere. It's not a sticker on you. But I think you'll relate to some of the strategies, and I want you to use them. And so then sometimes I'll nudge them in that direction. But yeah, if you're a listener and you hear this stuff and you go, all right, Jim, listen, this doesn't hurt my feelings. I think I relate to this. Maybe I want to learn more. There are some really good workbooks. I remember the basic one. Just go onto Amazon and go with the reviews. Whatever has the highest reviews is usually the best one. And no, you don't need a therapist with it, but it won't take very long before you realize, yeah, I'm probably going to talk to a therapist about this too.
Great.
Because especially with borderline, you usually notice a lot of trauma stuff. Sometimes it's self-inflicted trauma. Sometimes like you've gotten in your own way, you've shot yourself in the foot. And sometimes it's like, well, there is abandonment. There is a lot of strange feelings. You're going to need to sit down with a therapist.
Marcia Linehan has a workbook.
Okay.
DBT skills training, handouts, and worksheets.
I usually recommend DBT stuff.
Yeah.
The best, I think that's still the best standard when it comes to treating borderline, specifically. But, Erica, to you, I'm glad that you're working on this stuff. Don't be afraid to acknowledge with your therapist. I don't know if you said you're in therapy. Yeah, you did. Yeah. Don't be afraid to acknowledge that maybe you're self-medicating. And like, obviously, the alcohol and the marijuana is part of that for you. And I'd love for you and your therapist to talk about consulting with a physician about other options. A lot of my borderline personality disorder patients really benefit from finding some medication to help manage things. They might get on a mood stabilizer, and sometimes some anxiety medicine as well can help. That could probably make a difference. Now, again, I don't prescribe. I'm not here telling you what to take. I'm telling you as an educational show, those are things other people have taken. Consult with your physician. They'll tell you what to do. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be ultimately, I think, how you start to let go of the marijuana as well, is replacing it with helpful medicine.
Yeah, and I think that, and it's not to say that, your marijuana use is out of control or it's problematic. I think ultimately the issue is it's hard to tell where symptoms are coming from.
Yeah.
When you've got a psychoactive substance that you're taking.
And also, if you think it's causing a problem, then it's causing a problem.
Yep, you're probably right.
That's self-fulfilling prophecy at that point.
Exactly. Yep. If you're aware of it, then you're allowed to quit it. But...
And Nick, sorry, I cut you off to circle back. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I don't want to talk now. I had something, but you're just going to, apparently it's not important. No, that was it.
My alligators, look at this, my alligator paw is flipping people off. What's the monkey paw thing? Have you guys ever heard of a monkey paw?
Yeah, it's a very well-known story.
I only know it from Rick and Morty. It's where I get most of my well-known stories.
I mean, they kind of sum it up pretty nicely.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so it just grants wishes, right?
But it grants wishes, but they have a hook.
Oh, so what's an alligator paw do?
It grants wishes, but then you get bit right in the nuts.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are talking about blame and guilt after cutting ties with somebody. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Robert Brownie Jr. Mint, Kayla Lansbury, Crazy Banana Scoop, Malia, Cindy Ash, and Adam Hayworth. Hathaway, sorry.
Nailed it.
Where did that come from? Would you like to sponsor the show? Become a therapy producer. Patreon.com/therapy.
Adam, hey, would you buzz off? Jones.
This week's trivia theme in honor of our therapy producers is me.
Oh, I was hoping it would be. Is it like Nick's childhood?
It is.
We get to guess?
And Karie, you better get these right.
Yay!
All right. First question.
So don't answer until Jacob and I have guessed, and then you can come in with your final
she's got to go last.
Yeah.
All right. What was my biggest fear as a child?
Oh, yes.
A, dogs. B, going to the dentist. C, flying in an airplane. D, tornadoes. Or E, becoming too famous, preventing me from enjoying a nice meal at a restaurant without being hassled for autographs. If you'd like to join the Therapy Producers to make the show possible, go to patreon.com/therapy and sign up. Again, that's patreon.com/therapy.
All right. So
at least it wasn't corn.
Yeah.
Oh, how terrible would it be?
Worst Iowa.
Live in Iowa and just have a phobia of corn.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, Jacob,
I did have a fear of low yield production.
Yeah.
So that was
efficiency on this is terrible. I can't do it. Calm down, Nick.
Oh, they're
planting
way too early.
The soil needs more nitrogen. God damn it!
You know how people will replace the word "fuck" with like "effing" or something like that.
Yeah.
In Iowa, it always just replaced by "shucking."
Yeah, that's right. Go shuck yourself,
you mother shucker.
Yeah.
It should be.
Get the shuck out of here.
That was a missed opportunity.
Oh yeah.
Come on, Iowa.
Let's start that right now.
Yeah.
I think if we just lean in on that one, we can finish hard.
I only want it in Iowa, though. I don't want us to do it.
No, you out of your shucking mind, man. Get my wife's name. Your mother shucking mouth.
Now, if he had yelled that,
nobody would be mad.
After he slapped Chris Rock, if he had yelled like "mother
Everybody's
shucker,"
like,
it would have taken a day or two for people to realize that he had done it.
Yeah.
And by now, that's all the news would be talking about.
That would be the trend.
No one would remember the slap.
Yeah.
All right. I feel like tornado was thrown in as a Hail Mary. I think he just edited.
You
this
think
thing.
tornado was just now?
Because the Patreon, we're talking about these things, it's live. There's no way that just happened, unless it was so often when they were kids that he really was scared of them.
All right.
But he was just talking about how he liked to go storm chasing with his dad, and like he didn't want to be in the basement, he wanted to see it. So that's clearly not it.
Tornado is not my guess either.
I don't think that's it. I don't think it's the Fame one, though that was compelling.
It did have the most detail.
Airplanes feels right.
I think I'm going to go airplanes.
I feel like, when you're a kid in Iowa.
Those magical
in
metal
the
birds in the
place on
sky.
Earth, yeah. And he probably thought they were dragons or some shit because, like, they didn't know what the tech was. Like, what is that? We don't talk about the demon birds. What's the loud thunder, mommy?
It was airplanes, dogs.
This isn't an M. Night Shyamalan movie. It's just Iowa.
Airplanes, dogs, tornadoes. What was the first one?
Going to the dentist.
Dentist.
That's solid, though.
I'm going airplane.
I'm going to take dentist. I'll hedge.
All right.
I'll hedge on that one. I feel like dogs. Wait a minute.
I mean,
like there's a
dogs.
story about
Dogs
this.
is my number 2.
You know what? I'm pivoting.
Do you want the dogs?
I vaguely remember him telling us. No, wait. He has dogs now. Oh, now I'm having trouble.
And they keep me up at night. They scare the shit out of me.
All right, switch. I'm going to what you took planes?
I got planes.
I'm taking dentist.
You go back
but
to
I
dentist.
vaguely remember him telling a story about being a kid and having a problem with dogs.
All right, I don't care about your vague memories of story. Karie?
I don't know. I'm stuck on this one. I think the plane that's my son, so I'm going to say no. However, we watched La Bamba a lot, and you never know when you're going to be out playing basketball and a plane falls on you.
That's perfect.
I'm going to say dentist as well because we both had dreams of our teeth falling out.
Oh,
okay.
Wow.
I'm very disappointed. Jacob wins.
Hey!
It was airplane?
It was airplanes.
Wow.
What scared you
And
about
it-
airplanes?
La Bamba. I mean, her logic
got it.
Her logic was sound.
She just brushed right
Well,
over
that
it.
was. I mean, and that happened. That
I just
happened
figured it was because you were
20
so diminutive.
No.
Now, to your defense in that, I mean, we lived 23 miles from the crash site.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So this wasn't just like, although we weren't alive,
Yeah.
we heard about
I
it.
went
Neither
to
are the
college
La Bamba
where
guys.
Jim Croce died in a plane crash, but I'm fine with planes.
Time
We
in a
were
bottle scares
reminded
the
of it
shit out of
on a
me.
regular basis.
Wow.
No, I did not like flying planes.
Just because of La
Flying planes.
Bamba.
Mostly. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I was just convinced it was going to crash.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that is what happened.
I
on La
mean,
Bamba.
if you know anything about gravity, it's not a completely unfounded fear.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
So Jacob's 1 and Karie and I are 0
Yes.
on your childhood.
Boom.
Yes.
She's crushing the sister thing. I love it. I
Yeah.
love what's happening. I love this whole dynamic, Karie. You're doing really good.
Awesome.
Whoever wins the day gets to refer to
is now
themselves
his-
as Nick's sister.
Yes. Let's do that. Now
Deal.
this is worth fighting for. I hope there's bonus
Karie
questions.
can
I
lose
concede.
the title of Nick's
Yeah,
sister.
yeah, and tie Karie. So if I pick it up in the next one and Karie doesn't, and Jacob and I are 1-1, we're both Nick's sister, and I want to be announced that way on show. Questions of blame and guilt after cutting ties from Lovely Ocean. Hey guys, new listener here. I'm working my way through the backlog of episodes after seeing you all on the Reddit AMA, and it has been a godsend. Oh, Lovely, don't do that. Don't listen to anything prior to this episode. It's all garbage. So's this one. Turn it off. Just go. You can do better. I come from a background where mental health is stigmatized, if it's talked about at all. And it really helps to hear other people's perspectives, experiences, and your opinions as two professionals and a lovely life coach. Lovable life coach, actually.
Both correct.
Oh, that's such a stretch. After hearing episode 219, I found a bit of courage to reach out. I'm currently in therapy after years of attending on and off through my teens with no progress. I just turned 25 years old. My therapist and psychiatrist diagnosed me with obsessive-compulsive disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, and bulimia. It's been really hard, but I feel like I'm slowly making progress after what feels like a lifetime of struggle. I'm currently taking medication and working through my past trauma bit by bit with my therapist and a weekly dose of pod therapy. Now, the problem. I have a half-brother who I don't speak to. I thought we were really close when we were younger. We'd spend the summers together talking, playing video games, and getting into all sorts of mischief. But his attitude toward me started to change when he got older. It's something I expected because very few big brothers want to hang out with their dorky kid sister, but it was more than that. I felt like he resented me. It didn't matter what I would do or say. He would just say mean things to me, ignore me completely, and refuse to apologize when he hurt me physically or emotionally. We share a biological father who committed suicide after divorcing my mother, and the dispute that followed between our shared family was beyond traumatic. I know that he isn't responsible for others' actions, but he contributed to the mess by lying, stealing, and completely railroading any attempts made on my behalf to recover what our father had destroyed. I've spoken to him twice since everything happened, both times in court, and he was very dismissive of my grievances. When he did briefly utter the word sorry, his tone and expression felt more like he'd accidentally stepped on my foot and not contributed to the pain that followed for nearly a decade after our father died. Normally, it would seem like a no-brainer to cut someone like this out of my life, and I have. But I've been made to feel guilty about it by our shared extended family, also not great people, even family who have no relation to him. And it's working. I do feel guilty. Our father was a horrible man. I feel brave enough now to say that. My half-brother didn't witness the abuse that he levied against my mother and me, but he was a victim in his own right. He was neglected and had his share of physical abuse from our father. Once, when I was 5, because I told on him for hitting me, which I never did again, and I've never had a chance to apologize for. I have no doubt that he also struggles with mental health, and probably has for a while. But I don't feel like that justifies his treatment of me, because I always saw him as my brother first, and everything else second. To see him behave so much like our father when things went down, and since then, was scary. And I don't know that I can ever reconcile with that image I had of him before. How much of this can I hold him responsible for? Is complete silence on my part justified, or am I only causing more harm? I don't want to reconnect because I don't think it would be good for my own health and safety, but I also don't want to be responsible for anyone else's pain. Maybe I'm giving myself too much credit in his life, but he did mention that our father and he himself wanted us to remain connected after his death. I don't think it's fair for him to put that pressure on me when he was the one who created the rift in the first place, but I also can't stop thinking about what happened. How do I create space between myself and this guilt? Is that even possible? Thanks for your time, guys. Best, A Little Ocean. Pronouns are she and her.
Okay. Good question.
That is a good one.
All right. So as you were reading this, I was kind of rereading it again because part of it was a little confusing. So if I understand this correctly, and I apologize if I got the timing kind of messed up, but it sounds like the divorce, father's suicide, and then this rift between her and half-brother.
That's what I took.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, couple questions that I got back for you, A Little Ocean. You're talking about, can you create or can you repair this relationship, right, between you and your half-brother? So
kind of. So A Little Ocean is really saying, hey, I'm being pressured by everybody, including my deceased father, to reunite with my brother. I've cut him out of my life because he was quite toxic. They've made me feel guilty, and it's working. I do feel guilty, which sucks.
But she also said the people who are pressuring her are also toxic.
Yeah, she said the family itself is also toxic. So she's wrestling with the guilt that she feels with both missing him and loving him, but also being the victim of him too.
Yeah.
And feeling like she doesn't want to necessarily reconcile.
I mean, there's a lot here, and I guess the big thing is I would just kind of ask you, what is it you want to do? Do you want to reconcile that relationship, or do you not?
Doesn't she say at one point in the letter that she doesn't want to reconcile the relationship?
She did say that.
Okay.
You're betting 1,000, Tangerman.
but here's the thing. Like,
you know what? Screw it. Karie, what do you think?
I only noticed it because I was confused by that.
Him.
Yes, because here's the thing. Because I'm hearing a lot of, like, not conflicting, but, like,
kind of conflicting.
Yeah, I mean, like, so there's a lot of resentment towards brother or half brother.
Mm-hmm.
Totally understand that. But then there's also, like, he treated me this way, I resent him. But then it also kind of goes back to he was doing stuff and I kind of blame him for things.
Right.
So, I mean, it kind of goes both ways where it's like, I mean, a lot, and I'm not defending him. I don't want you, the writer, to think that that's what I'm doing. I'm more confused than anything else because I'm kind of hearing some different components. I'm kind of hearing you say that, this traumatic event happened and then it changed the way that he reacted to me. And then he started treating me different. He was avoidant of me. But then I'm also hearing you say that you carry resentment towards him for this situation. And if I'm getting this wrong, I apologize. But that could also be what's feeding the distance. Like if I resent Jim for something,
Easy
and
to
then
do.
he starts treating me differently.
I never would.
Is he treating me differently because I resent him? Because hurting people hurt people. So if he senses your resentment, and then so he's starting to distance himself, or he starts treating you differently, that all kind of makes sense. So I guess the big thing would be like, I mean, if you were wanting to repair this relationship, number one, are you able to let resentments go? And then number two, can you forgive somebody who hasn't asked for forgiveness? You know, and if the answer to either of those is no, that you can't do those things, then I don't think you can reconcile the relationship.
Yeah. So in your letter, you ask, like, how do I deal with this guilt, right? Like, how can I separate myself from this guilt? And the thing I'll tell you is this: there's a difference between guilt and resentment. And so, like, people that are making you feel guilty, the implication of that is you're doing something wrong by putting yourself first and by having personal boundaries with somebody who's only really been a threat to your safety and mental health. And I think it's entirely okay for you to do that. Now, is family going to put pressure on you and give you this whole, like, angle of, like, oh, family first, and, like, you know, it's a sibling, and, like, you know, you got to do, you and your brother, you're all what you have, you know, you got to be there for each other. Yeah, that's fine. The audience is always going to want some narrative of, like, a nice, pretty red ribbon tied around this. And they're always going to be comfortable with the victim just being victimized more, as long as it's happening quietly, and they can just, you know, see everybody hug and make up. So the fact that you've interacted with your brother, he's only ever been dismissive of this. He's never really been engaging with you. He's never shown any contrition. And you've already identified that he's got his own toxic patterns. He's reenacting a lot of what your father did. And you've already made the decision for yourself. I choose to just pull away from him. And I don't hear anywhere in your letter that your brother's, like, knocking on your door, trying to get you back and trying to demonstrate, like, hey, I'm sorry, I love you, I'm changing, like, let's get together again. I think you're entirely justified. That's the first point. The second point, addressing the guilt. We've had a lot of people write into the show and talk about having abusive parents and other abusive family members, and the tremendous amount of responsibility that's put on them, the victim, to, like, somehow entertain reconciling or being around this person merely because they're blood. And I've talked about it before, that you have the right to walk away from that. Is it going to be something that other people put pressure on you for? Yes. If you just had an ex-boyfriend who's an asshole and you just weren't close to him anymore, or an old friend from high school that you no longer talk to, nobody's going to give you a lot of pressure. It's like, whatever. There's no social expectation that you guys would stick it out. With family, you do get that. But you have to be able to sit down, lovely Ocean, and you have to ask yourself, what does my voice say? Because all these other voices are telling me that they want to see some, again, nice red ribbon tied around it, happy ending, everything worked out. That's not real life. Real life is you doing what's right for you. You're still a young woman. You're in your early 20s. Do I think that throughout the course of history, you're going to interact with your brother again? Yes, I do. I suspect strongly that will happen. Do I think that you and your brother are still going through change and still recovering in many ways from this very traumatic childhood, what you went through with the custody and the family dynamics, what you went through having a father who died by suicide? This is all so serious. Do I think that either of you is a finished person today? No. And do I hope that you both change over time? Yes. And do I hope that eventually it's possible for you guys to reconcile? If that's your wish, yes. Because I hear it in your letter. You talk about, I still have sensitivity to him. I still love him. And, you know, there's a lot of longing there. But I think sometimes the path to reunification begins with separation. I think sometimes you're allowed to have this boundary of saying, I'm not available to be treated certain ways. And if that boundary is allowed to take place, we're showing people where the door is into our life. And eventually, God willing, if they change, I think they may come back and find that door.
So the answer doesn't have to be yes or no. The answer could just be not right now.
Could be not right now. Which, you know, and the question isn't should I reconcile? The question is, how do I deal with the guilt that I'm being put on me for not reconciling? Which I'm telling her, I'm acknowledging that guilt. And also, I believe, hopefully, down the road, you doing the right thing now actually maybe leads to a reconciliation down the road if that's what you want.
So here's what I would suggest. I would suggest not closing any doors to this, because it does sound like in your letter that you want to, that you'd like some kind of reconciliation now, later, whenever. So, I mean, all that means is you don't go to your brother, call him up, whatever, and say, hey, we're done. So you're not closing that door. And then when people come to you, like family members, whoever, come to you and say, hey, you need to have more of a relationship with your brother, your answer can very simply be, yeah, I'm open to it. As soon as my brother comes to me and tries to foster a relationship, because I've tried on my end, I don't know what else to do, but I am open to a relationship. I hope that one day we will have more of a relationship than we do now, and I'm ready to start exploring that whenever he is.
I think to that too, knowing I can't imagine going through that. You know, she's very young, so she was very young when this happened. It's very traumatic.
Yeah,
and they both went through it, right? They both experienced that. And in order to have a healthy relationship, they both have to be coming from healthy places. And so being able to say, like, yeah, I'm open to having a relationship with my brother, but right now I have to get to a healthy place. I have to be able to forgive. I have to be able to say, I'm not bitter, or I'm not carrying the weight of this for everyone. Right. And if he can do the same thing, then someday they can maybe have a relationship.
But you have permission to put yourself first.
Absolutely.
You absolutely do. And if this person's been toxic, harmful, or hateful, lock the door. Lock the door and wait. And eventually maybe it will be time. But even if it's not, you have done nothing wrong, lovely Ocean. So therefore you have nothing to feel guilty about. Are you still going to get some hate? Yes. And sadly, I can't prevent that from happening, but I hope you'll come back and re-listen to this and talk about this with your therapist and continue to do that positive self-talk of reminding yourself you have the right to have boundaries.
Now, I do hope that you work towards finding some sort of resolution with your resentment, not for your half-brother, but for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad to hear that you're in therapy. I'm glad to hear. I'm very sorry to hear you've been listening to Pod Therapy. You should cease immediately.
Especially the back catalog.
Don't ever listen to the back catalog. Never start at 1. That's a terrible idea. If you're going to start anywhere in history, start when Jacob shows up. There is 100% improvement at that point, which gets us to 1.
Yeah, it's fine.
With the lights, Carrie. That's the best part of the show.
This is like top notch.
Oh, I know,
Yeah.
right?
This is
Pyrotechnics,
legit.
very impressive, right?
Yeah.
How he zip lines down from the banister. Did you see that?
It was like a Lady Gaga concert.
Oh, I know.
Yep.
Yeah,
But
that's
fast.
That's what your $5 a month has been going
That's
to.
amazing.
Yeah, just so you know, that's it.
Every month we buy a new light.
We blow out those pyros. He zip lines down in his Sting makeup. It's majestic.
No.
Lovely Ocean, we're rooting for you. Keep in touch. Let us know how it goes. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're talking about family drama. You're listening to Pod Therapy. I'm Nick's sister.
Not yet. Today's episode is brought to you
Oh, that's
by
right. Sorry, Nick's sister.
Robert Brownie Jr. Mintz, Kayla Lansbury, Crazy Manana Scoop, Malia, Cindy Ash, and Adam Hathaway.
Nailed it.
Would you like to sponsor the show? Become a therapy producer? Go to patreon.com/therapy. Second question with the theme of me is...
Yes.
Which of the following was not a Halloween costume from Nick's childhood?
All right.
This is going to be good.
Is it A, Boss Hog from the Dukes of Hazzard? B,
I hope that was.
Yeah.
B, a pink Care Bear?
Oh, yes.
C, a Ninja Turtle? Or D, Gonzo from the Muppets?
Oh.
If you'd like to join the therapy producers and make the show possible, go to patreon.com/therapy and sign up.
Or
Again, that's
E,
patreon.com/therapy.
the doctor from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to accept any of this unless I see photographic evidence
Thank you.
of the existing
A
costumes.
thorough investigation shall be had.
Yeah.
Or none of them shall be believed.
If anybody's got them, it's Carrie.
I have them.
Yeah, yes!
Do you have them with you, perchance?
You
I
can
wish
text
I
me,
wish
Carrie.
I would have had notification earlier because
You
I
should-
could have
you
made
should
that
send those
happen.
to me.
Yeah.
It's fine. Dig them up. This will not air for 2 weeks. You have time. Get those to me. I'll put them into the Patreon. Patreon.com/therapy to see these embarrassing photos of Nick, which I will find, God willing, I will get.
Yeah.
These will
All
become
right,
the
so
title.
Gonzo, Care Bear, Boss
Gonzo's
Hog,
solid.
And a Ninja Turtle.
and a Ninja Turtle.
I feel like Boss Hog is not going to be something a kid would do, and I don't think that he would do the ironic dress up thing as an older teenager. So I don't think Boss Hog.
All right, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay.
What was the oldest that you were when you went trick or treating?
Oh yeah. Up to what point? When did you stop?
24.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I'm 40.
Just become an Eagle Scout.
I think the last time I actually wore a costume and trick or treated was probably.
Oh, that was last year.
6th grade. It was probably 6th grade.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna say I'll go. Oh wait, did I go first last time? I did. I went first last time because I took plane.
Fine. All right. So my options are Pink Care Bear, Boss Hog, Ninja Turtle,
or Gonzo from the Muppets.
and I'm picking the one you didn't do.
Did not.
So he was 3 of those.
Well, the Pink Care Bear thing, unless he did it ironically, but in 6th grade, nobody has that kind of charisma. It's the Pink Care Bear.
You going Pink Care Bear?
No one has that kind of charisma.
He definitely did Gonzo. He definitely did the Ninja Turtle. Of course he did. We all fucking did. And in Boss Hog, as unlikely as that was, for some reason he did it because there's no fucking way he did the Pink Care Bear.
Yeah, let's see.
He's not this kid that was like walking around with like the pop pink collar like in 6th grade and like being a badass.
Nick and I are about the same age. Everybody our age dressed up as a fucking Ninja Turtle.
Yeah,
Yes.
100%.
That one was kind of a throwaway.
Yeah. So he was definitely a Ninja Turtle.
The bonus question,
I'm gonna
though.
guess
bonus question.
that he
which
was
Ninja
Michelangelo.
Yeah.
I'm guessing
Wait,
Michelangelo.
Don't tell us.
Hold on.
Bonus
we'll do
question
that.
is
We'll
which?
do that.
Okay,
We'll do
okay.
that.
Bonus
That'll be our
question.
I've already
is
locked my answer in.
You're locking in on. All right.
Yeah.
I'm locking. All right. Never mind. I'll wait till this question's done. Then I will reserve for my
fine.
second.
All right, so let's see. So you're taking Pink Care Bear. That's a pretty good one. Boss Hog, Gonzo, or Ninja Turtle. I'll go Gonzo.
It's a fair second. I think the Boss Hog thing's pretty out there. But...
I think he dressed up as Boss Hog.
All right, maybe that one through. Maybe. I mean, Gonzo. I'm trying to think, would Gonzo Muppet Babies be popular back then? Probably not. Muppet Babies more for me.
No, Muppet Babies were definitely around.
I think that was more.
Yeah, I'm sticking with Gonzo.
All right,
I'm sticking with Gonzo.
Carrie, what are you going with?
I know the answer.
Let's hear it.
Well, we know that he dressed up as a Ninja Turtle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because he took my mom's turkey pans and pounded them and spray painted them green and attached them to his back for shells.
Yep.
Nice. A turkey pan.
Well, that's
a
solid.
great idea.
That's solid.
Yeah. The one year that I went, I believe, as Wonder Woman, you went as Boss Hog.
Oh, damn.
Okay.
So Boss Hog was real.
Yes.
Boss
Oh,
Hog.
it's getting nuts.
Confirmed.
And the year, I think I was in 4th grade, our last year in Livermore, which would have put you 1st grade.
Oh, shit. That's pink. It's Pink Care Bear territory.
You were the Pink Care
God
Bear.
damn it.
Oh,
no. Shit.
Oh, Nick has a new sister.
Damn it. Wait a minute. There's a bonus question. I could get back in
No,
this.
but I did in researching this, and I had to research it because I couldn't. I had to come up with the wrong answer. So I had to think of like what was popular in the 80s.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then I at first had who was the bear? Fozzie.
Fozzie, yeah.
Fozzie Bear. But then I thought about it, and I was like, wait, no, I was Fozzie Bear once.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I did have a Fozzie
My thought
Bear
on
costume.
Gonzo, honestly, was the facial prosthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dildo nose is hard
how
to pull
did
off
Nick
as a
make
kid.
himself the curly Q nose?
Well, because you knew, like, if it was a costume that was bought, it was that cellophane
Yeah.
Right.
plastic, and that would be
Yeah.
really hard to make that nose.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you had those plastic mask face that was a Boss Hog in the plastic suit.
Oh, my
Yep.
God. The
Yeah.
Boss
Oh, it was a
Hog.
It wasn't even just like you
Oh,
didn't
no,
just
no.
have a white suit.
Oh, no, it was not.
It was a.
Oh, I was
purchased
picturing Boss Hog as
Hog.
a found costume.
No.
That's hilarious.
Okay.
That's
All right. Bonus
hilarious.
question. I've already locked in Michelangelo.
Okay.
All right. All right. I think of Nick as more of a Raphael, but as child Nick, I think he would have picked maybe Donatello. No. How old? Can I ask Carrie how old he was? You locked in.
even
Fuck
know?
you. Carrie, do you remember how old he was?
I think I was done trick-or-treating at this point,
Yeah.
so probably late grade school.
Ooh.
Probably
all
one
right.
of his last years
I was-
trick-or-treating.
I think I was either in 5th or 6th.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going Raphael. That would have
right.
been the most socially acceptable choice. They're all solid, but I think at the time Raphael had the like devil may care swagger. You maybe get away with a little bit of extra points for that.
And if he went today, he'd be Donatello.
Yeah, I think he'd be Donatello. That's probably solid. Yeah. Also, I went
remember?
too as a turtle, and if you guys want, we can guess mine as well. 'cause I definitely-
I'm really trying to think about what color of what you would have access
red.
to.
Raphael, would
Right,
be
like
red.
red would have been Raphael.
Yeah. I think it's red bandanas. I think it's going to be Raphael. I think it's red bandanas that he got from the trucker store that was
Trucker stuff.
Who
in Iowa.
was the fourth one?
He
So
wore a
Donatello,
red
Raphael, Leonardo.
eyeballs, and he got it from the trucker store.
Yeah, I think it's Raphael.
It was Raphael.
And he's back.
But your logic is wrong.
Oh.
Okay. It wasn't because he was my favorite turtle, because Michelangelo was everyone's favorite turtle.
Yeah.
I wanted it because I wanted the weapons. I wanted
the size.
he had the size.
Yeah.
So
those are fun to throw.
yeah, and so those were it was
now you picked
again,
Michelangelo because the
again.
nunchucks that Carrie threw you off with earlier. See?
again. This
Oh, that's
was,
right. We talked about nunchucks. I'd forgotten about that.
This was
Yeah, we did talk about
this was
nunchucks.
another purchased costume.
Okay.
Okay, so it was the one that had
Oh, if I'd
the
been thinking
band
purchase
I remember
the
costumes,
that.
green
Yeah.
had the green nose to it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember that.
I was definitely picturing all of these as homemade costumes.
Nah.
No.
So, Jacob, were you ever a Ninja Turtle?
I'm sure I was.
Do you remember which one? Well, you barely remember that you were.
No, I think I was, and I think I was Leonardo.
Yeah.
Probably for the same reasons that I wanted the swords.
The sword looked cool, right? The
Yeah,
katana.
yeah. Well, two of them.
Yeah, that's right. You get two. Well, I think when the costume came out, you only got one.
Oh no, I never had store-bought costumes.
Oh, you made your own.
Yeah, it was
okay.
always homemade costumes.
Okay. I was
Or my
Leonardo.
grandmother would sew things.
Okay.
Because my grandmother didn't die until I was about 10.
Okay.
And she would sew everything. So like
Ah.
all of my childhood photos are me in clothes that my grandmother made. And so like she would, like if I needed a cape or something like that, she would
made
just
it.
like call her up, tell her I need a cape. Next day I have a cape.
And that's cute.
Yeah.
Aw. I remember my mom made me a Spider-Man costume, and it was just long johns with glue on it. Just like lines of glue that were essentially the web.
Oh yeah.
No.
It's pretty good.
Mom made you a birthday cake, a Spider-Man birthday cake. Do you remember this?
No, I don't remember that.
It tasted like spiders.
No, it was a Superman. It was a Superman
Tasted
cake.
of men.
And it was a cake, white frosting, and then to put the logo on it, she cut out the cardboard from your underwear.
Oh, nice.
I do remember that.
Pretty solid.
Nice.
Good job, Mom.
Way to be industrious, Mom.
From my underwear.
That's
Oh, that's
fantastic.
funny.
That's a solid
do
birthday.
From the
remember that.
underoos.
That's right. And the last birthday any friends came to.
Yeah.
Nobody likes
Why
it.
does my cake taste like underwear?
I to this day I remember my 35th birthday. Like
Yeah. So, Jacob, congratulations. You've won the Nick Sister Challenge.
I am Nick's sister.
You know, enjoy it, man.
Yeah, I
think,
will.
You know, you've got this.
I'm gonna beat the shit out of
That's
him later.
right. Watch out for that chin punch, though,
That's
man.
it.
He tries to rabbit punch you. You just drop
Yeah.
those bows since you got the high ground.
Nick, no
man.
face punches.
That's right.
you know the
One
Rule
rule.
number one. We have one rule in Fight Club. Shut up.
Bite the shit out of Nick.
All right, last question. Family drama from Max, the Ginger Scoop. Hi, everybody. Hi, Dr. Nick, Dr. Life Coach Jacob, and Doctor of Geography Jim. My pronouns are he and him. Recap, 3 years ago, I wrote in after the sudden stage 4 cancer and death of my uncle, R, and feeling more distant from my cousin, C, and her mom, Aunt C, who were already pretty distant. I found out about the cancer and death of my Uncle R in a social media post by Cousin C. I have a small family, grandmother who raised me, deceased in 06, my mother, deceased in 99, my 2 half-siblings, MR and my Aunt B and her family, my Uncle R, now deceased, and spouse, Aunt C and Cousin C. I was bothered by them not reaching out when I could have flown to see my Uncle R one last time. And having to fly to my Aunt B and her family, since neither my Cousin C or Aunt C would keep anyone in the loop.
Do you remember that?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
I remember a little bit of that. Since the funeral, I haven't seen them. I did invite them to my upcoming wedding. It is right before Scoopfest 2022. Oh, you got to cancel that, Max.
Congratulations
Yeah.
on your fast approaching wedding.
Yeah, I hope you cancel it in time for Scoopfest. Jesus, get your priorities straight.
As long as it's before Scoopfest.
Well, as long as you can make it to Scoopfest. They are not attending the wedding. I do not care enough to be even bothered by it.
Are they attending Scoopfest?
That's what's important. Yeah, ask them that. Get back to us, Max. Great letter. All right, new. My half sibling got me and my other half sibling, and 23andMe for our birthday in September of 2020. In October, I got back the results. I found out I was actually their half sibling. Oh wow, so you didn't know that. These other two got back results that they are not siblings, but also actually half siblings. We had now hope.
Wow.
Yeah, this is interesting. We had now hope between us that one of them had a living father, going from not 2, but 3 fathers. I, being the oldest, had met one of their fathers, deceased in 98. I got a match for a half-cousin who is 8 years younger than me, starting in October. I messaged her every month and got a reply in March. I asked, could her uncle be my father, but was told her uncle could not be my dad, as he is 2 years older than me. My sibling and I postulated that my half-brother and my half-niece and her uncle was my half-sibling. Her grandfather could be my father. In April, I heard back that he was alive and willing to take a paternity test. I said he could just do 23andMe. I heard nothing until June, when my social media got 4 messages from people who said they were my older half-siblings. I was going away on military orders and was able to meet with my father before leaving. After returning, I've done some birthdays and holidays, and most of my 5 other siblings and my many nieces and nephews are attending the wedding. It is still strange having and thinking about having a large family now. Growing up as a kid with dead parents, I found it strange, and still find it strange, when other kids talk about their parents. And now I'm an adult with a parent, everything about it seems strange. Also, the strangeness of adding additional resentment to the remaining dead parent, as my undead parent didn't know I existed. Any advice for suddenly gaining a large family is appreciated. Also, doing it again with my wedding, as my fiancé has a large family, but still smaller than my newly found one. P.S. 23andMe is definitely worth it. Bought it from my Aunt B. Found out she is my half-aunt. She was devastated. Of course, Cousin C won't do even 1 if I pay for it, to see if we have 3 grandfathers or 2, and who she is related to. FFYITF, Max the Ginger Scoop.
I mean, first off, Max.
Damn, it's a telenovela, dog.
You got to stop buying these paternity tests
Don't
from
do
the
that
Maury
anymore.
Povich show. You're buying these Maury Povich made 23andMe tests.
You are the father. You are
There's
not.
your problem.
Damn, man. Holy smokes, that thing was a journey.
I'm glad that the question, like, to answer his question, we don't have to know the whole family tree, because
right.
I was trying to write all this down,
No.
like, in my head.
You're creating a genogram?
I was doing a genogram, trying to figure it out, and I got completely lost. So
Yeah, no, thank goodness for that. I stopped reading the letters, because all those half-brothers and siblings all had letters, and I just started saying half-brothers, sisters,
yeah.
because I knew it wasn't going to be relevant to the end.
And then he was my half-brother.
Dun, 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 dun. There it is. Oh, my goodness. Holy smokes, Max. So, congratulations on discovering that you have a big family. That's exciting. I mean, I don't hear Max saying, dude, I'm devastated. Like, it was a bait and switch. I thought my life was X,
Right.
it's Y. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading this wrong. Maybe you guys hear something I don't. Do you guys hear a tone of like, hey, I'm kind of okay?
I'm
I'm
just kind of
big
floating and trying to figure out what to do with it.
yeah,
Right.
for the most part, that's kind of what I'm picking up on too. I mean, Max obviously talked about now having some extra resentment about,
Right.
you know, like, I do have a father that's alive, and I didn't, you know, why did this one not tell me about this one?
But I'm not getting resentment towards the family members that he didn't know about.
Correct.
I'm getting resentment towards the family members that he was aware of who didn't tell him this information earlier.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, I do think, I mean, what's interesting here is you're getting married at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is kind of poetic in a way, because it's like you're getting married, so you are already getting a whole new family that's
Do you think-
joining your existing family.
Do you think that getting married is also kind of causing some of this anguish, for lack of a better word?
Possibly,
about this?
but I think
It's a
this
life
is
change and just
yeah. But I do think that this is an opportune time for this to happen,
Mhm.
because as you're gaining a family with in-laws,
Yeah.
your brain is kind of preparing yourself for, like, oh, my family is growing. This is a positive experience. This is, you know, I get new people in my life.
Yeah.
And then, oh, now I get it over here too on this side of the family. And I think it's kind of a good time for it to kind of occur that way, because you generally, most people have a very positive perception of family in marriage, like getting married, accepting those people. And so I think this happening at the same time, maybe you can kind of look at this as being a positive situation as well.
Do you guys come from a big family?
Yeah, I mean, our mom's side. I mean, like cousins and stuff. We do,
extended family.
We're the only siblings.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm aware. But, well, besides Jacob.
Right.
Right.
Recently,
We just did 23andMe
Even
and found out that Jacob
are the siblings.
Yeah. His triumph in trivia just getting added to the family tree, which I expect if you guys have a family tree at your house, there's like a little like wallet-sized photo of Jacob just like pasted onto the wall.
If I go back home and there's a picture of Jacob and not a picture of me.
Yeah.
Come on. Come on, Karie. You can make this happen.
Yeah.
We need to get you a little handmade Christmas ornament.
There you go.
On the tree.
This is the year, Jacob. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Take the alligator paw.
A handmade hand.
Oh, that's terrible. I'm still sad for the alligator.
Yeah, I mean, our extended family's like we got a lot of cousins.
Okay.
A ton of cousins.
Yeah, and so that's interesting because, like, I technically have a big family, but never grew up with them. So, like, I would go to Florida every once in a while and realize that they were all there. And then I remember that, like, halfway through my childhood, and like, I was close to them when I'd visit them. And so, like, I was close to all my cousins, and they were great people, and just, like, I'd see them all the time. But there was this big family secret. And the family secret that they all knew, but nobody was allowed to tell me, was that I wasn't related to any of them.
Oh.
And so I kind of relate to this, that it's like there's all of a sudden, and I was a kid, obviously Max is an adult, but like I remember just being like, wait, what? And I remember the day that they sat me down to tell me, and like it was this thing, and like they were all busted like afterward. They got so much trouble by all the grown-ups. It was like, you told Jimmy? Nobody's allowed to tell Jimmy. That's the secret, right? But it was like this whole secret that like
everybody knew but you.
Yeah, and there was a scandal to like why we weren't related, and so like there was. This
Did you wonder why you were the only white kid?
Yeah, I know, right? That was so weird. I was like, why do I have like? Why are you guys all so tan? Like, don't worry about it, Jimmy. Come on over.
I grew up a poor black child.
You know, people don't listen to my story. It's like whatever. But no, so like then one day I remember they told me, they were like, yeah, man, just you're not related to us, and I was like, oh, that's. And like I'm starting to connect the dots, like like starting to like realize some things, and then of course I had to go to my parents and like I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, they were furious, like, who told you this? And like, oh, they didn't. So they had to sit me down and explain. So like I relate to Max, where there's like this, oh wow, and like you kind of have this shifting of like, and I remember being resentful, like, why did you let me grow up in a lie? Like, why didn't you tell me this?
Yeah.
I feel silly, I feel foolish, I feel like something was hidden from me.
Yeah, and everybody knew but me.
Everybody knew but me. And like I don't think that was totally what Max experienced. And for Max, I can understand the other resentment of like, I had another parent. Like that's a significant thing. It's find out your second and third cousins aren't yours. Like you're five, whatever. Yeah. But I get it. For Max, the cut is much deeper. But there is some shock to that. And for Max, like, gosh, man, I mean, I like how you're handling it. You seem like an upbeat guy. As you're writing that letter, I kind of sense that you're the kind of person that's like, I value family a lot. Like when your uncle passed away, that was very important to you to be a part of it. You felt like you had been left out of something instead of being included. You clearly take your cousin relationships and niece relationships and all these people, you're naming them all. Like I take that you care very much for your family. Having a larger family, I think, is exciting for you. But I would also definitely define for yourself how you mean the word family. Just because you suddenly discover that there's other people that share your DNA, more recently than I share your DNA, because like we're all related a little bit. Adam and Eve, Nick, I'll tell you about it later. Don't worry about it. I'll explain. I have a book. I have a book for you.
No,
it's fine.
It's fine. No, I'll explain.
It's in your hotel room. It's fine.
We'll see you soon.
Goodbye, everybody. So yeah, coming back to that. But you get to define what family is, Max. And so don't feel like you need to be compelled to like let all these new people into your life. I hope you take a spirit of curiosity, and I'm sure you're all adults and you can kind of get to know each other. But when you say this thing of like, I'm feeling a shockwave of like going from small family to big family, I would probably come alongside you and say, like if we were sitting in my office and you said that statement, I'd probably say, oh yeah, it probably does feel like that. And you still have your small family, Max. Like that's your history, right? So like your history book is that family. So in some sense, your capital F family is the people that raised you, right? So these are your people, and you're discovering you have more relations. And I hope you're excited to go find that. But if that feels like a fish out of water, feel like you just got thrown in the ocean, I would take a deep breath and right size what this is in your life. You don't owe anybody anything. You can still think of your own family as your family.
Yeah, and there's no expectation that you should have a really strong relationship right off the
No.
bat.
No,
So,
that's not going to be there.
Or
You're-
possibly ever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
you don't owe
meeting
anybody
complete
anything.
strangers.
Yeah,
you know,
and thanks
so-
for plugging 23andMe like suspiciously a lot.
Maury Povich's 23andMe.
God, I'm terrified to do 23andMe. I don't need any more.
Yeah, I haven't done
revelations. I
Have
don't.
you done it?
No, I
Damn,
don't want
I keep
to.
waiting for you to do
No,
it, so
I'm
I
going
don't
to give it to you for Christmas, so you will do it, so I will know because I
Oh,
don't.
there you go.
Yeah.
Well, neither of you should do it, and I'm pissed that my mom did it. I remember my mom called me. She's like, "Oh, I did 23andMe." I'm like, "Why would you do that?" And she's like, "Well, I wanted to figure out if we were related to like George Washington or something."
Why
bullshit."
didn't you want her to do it?
Because if any of my grandkids like murder somebody or something like that, listen, I'm not pro murder, okay? But I'm also no snitch. And 23andMe is a snitch because then they're going to have their great grandma's DNA in there and they're going to find their asses, and I don't want them to get caught. I'm on Team Jobin.
You wouldn't turn in a family member.
If they murdered somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the asshole probably had it coming, is what I think. You know, I'm just saying.
I like
You don't
I
cross
like-
the family, Nick.
I like Bill Burr's
Yeah.
thing. His stand up, he was, mimicking playing catch with his son, it's like having this conversation.
Yeah.
I want you to know you can come to me. You can tell me something, if you kill somebody, I want you to know you can come tell me.
Yeah.
And we'll go down to the police station together. Well, yeah, I'm going to turn you in. You think this is Dexter? Of course I'm going to turn you in.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely don't take 23andMe. I'm against it because your grandkids may need you not to
Okay,
snitch
well, if
on
you're
them.
not paranoid, it's fine. Take 23andMe.
If you're playing Jim's Neurotic Bingo at home, paranoia that Jim's great-grandchildren will need to evade homicide crime is on there. Go ahead and click that box. Congratulations to all of you who just got a bingo. And thanks, Max. It's a big question, man. There's a lot of pieces to it. I mean, the resentment that you talked about, though, just my last thought. I mean, I hope that you're going to talk through that with somebody. I think over time, you'll right size what that means in your life. And I don't know. I mean, when somebody doesn't tell you something that was fundamentally your truth and it was stolen from you.
And it's your business.
It's your business. And that's important data for your health. And also there's a human out there that is your biological father and you're never told about it. That is a significant thing. And so the resentment that's going to be there, I don't know how to just make that go away. I hope that you get to meet this person. I hope that experience is fulfilling and nourishing to you. And I hope somehow deep down you're able to reconcile both histories into something that you're grateful for. But you were cheated. You were stolen from. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like, knowledge was kept from you without your permission, and I feel like you were entitled to that. So the resentment, I think, in some ways is well-founded. I think resentment does diminish over time when we talk about it, when we right-size it, when we try to practice empathy and ask, what was this other human doing? Did they mean to harm me? Did they maliciously do this for me? Did they withhold this? Or were they doing this for good reasons? And only you can answer that, Max. I don't know.
It doesn't have to be good reasons.
Right.
Were they doing it for, reasons that didn't have anything to do with you, that
Could
weren't
be.
necessarily good reasons, but not necessarily contentious or out to get you reasons?
And they may have been selfish reasons.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah.
It could have just been, this is going to cause a lot of waves if I tell Max about this now.
Right.
So I'm just going to keep on.
Or
keeping
maybe
on.
nobody in the family knows. And I want to keep it that way because
Right.
we've got our little system and we're doing fine. The kids are doing fine. I
Yeah.
don't want to rock the boat. We're all good.
It could. I mean,
That's
it could be reasons that have nothing to do with you, and they should have.
Yeah. And that's your truth, man. But it's a huge story, Max. I hope this leads to you having exciting, conversations and growing in these relationships.
Oh, I bet they're going to be exciting conversations.
I'm sure it is. Yeah, you're going to learn a lot, Max.
I bet they're going to be conversations that will at least be able to be credited as exciting.
I think it's going under being filed under E for exciting.
Yeah.
And also, congratulations
Yeah.
on getting to come to Scoop Fest. And
Oh.
I'm sorry that you're going to be canceling your wedding, but
Yeah.
I agree that it's the right decision.
Yeah.
I hope we get to see you in Vegas for sushi, psychology, and
Views
sake.
expressed on Pod Therapy by Jim Jobin or Jim Jobin's alone.
Oh, you can't bail out of this now. It's been 5 years. We're intertwined, buddy.
It's got you there.
We show up in the same Google searches. You're in too deep, bitch. I got you now. I'm a parasite dug in deep. Speaking of which, sushi, psychology, and sake will be served here in fabulous Las Vegas at the Orleans Casino at Andori Japanese Restaurant. I believe we agreed it's 11:30 in the morning because that's when they open. And it's on Saturday, April 23rd. Does that feel right?
I don't know.
Is that Scoop
I
Fest
thought
week?
that doesn't feel
No,
right. No, it's not. No.
Is
It's
it later?
The 30th.
Is it the
Saturday
30th?
is the 30th.
There it is. Saturday, April
You
30th.
definitely doing it on Saturday?
The Orleans thing at 11:30, Japanese restaurant called Andori. You'll see a whole bunch of us wearing our Pod Therapy swag.
So that is happening.
Yes, we already
Okay,
announced it
all
on a
right.
previous episode.
Okay, all right. Did you contact the sushi place and let them know?
No.
Okay.
Should I do that?
So it's probably
Sure.
happening.
Yeah.
It's-
Well,
yeah.
that's where we're meeting. So if there's no sushi happening there, at
Yeah.
least that's where you show up to find out.
Yeah, but I don't want to do that and then have to go to Burger King.
I think we can assume it's
just
gonna
make
work.
A phone call. That,
Yeah, that's fine. It's our best bet because we'd shut down in
Yeah,
the other
no,
place.
I totally get it.
All
I
right.
think we just need to. We should do them the honor of letting them know.
All right,
that we're
I
gonna have
will
You need
make
to
a
get
note.
yourself a table.
We should probably
Just warn them.
get an idea of how many people.
Oh, yeah. Patreon.com/therapy. We will open up a thread at some point and ask who's
Yes.
going.
There you go.
So if you'd like to go and you're not a Patreon, throw the stupid $1 in there. If you're going to hang out with us, at least be a Patreon.
God, what an asshole!
Yeah,
Just,
give us a buck. I'm doing reservations over here, man. Help me
Just-
out.
Just let us know.
Whatever.
All right.
Yeah, let us know. Other news. Sorry, I had to close my script in order to get all that information. This show is sponsored by 23andMe. Make sure you use Pod Therapy at checkout. And we have new people to thank.
We do.
have new Therapals. Welcome to Devin Sotak, Flavioli Ravioli, and Ken Tinsley.
Ken Tinsley sent us a very nice message on Patreon, by the way.
Yes, thank you, Ken.
He said I heard Paul's impression of Dr. Jim a couple of weeks ago, and I was sold on the podcast. Glad to support the work of keeping windows closed and bats safe.
Thank you, Ken. It was a dead-on impression. And we have a new Therapod.
We do. Alec Lancaster. Congratulations.
Welcome, Alec Lancaster. And we want to thank our bosses, the Saccharin 16, the mysterious and shrouded Illuminati members of the fan club, those Thera producers. Thank you, Smitty, Scoop, Jake Schneider, Robert Brownie Jr., Mint, Kayla Lansbury, Judy Schneider, Nathan's Hot Dog Scoop, King of Student Loan Debt, Dr. Ben Don, Crazy Banana Scoop, Mason Miller, Carolyn Albert, Leon Kassab, Kevin Chamberlain, Malia, Richard Macy, Cindy Ash, Newstick, Lord Colin Stewart, Dirty B, Ben Stanley, Sammy Scoop, Sarah Smith, Adam Hathaway, Dan Martin, Byler T, and University Jeff.
If you'd like to sponsor the show, if you'd like to do this episode uncut and unedited,
And why wouldn't you?
and enjoy our spontaneous side projects, go to patreon.com/therapy, and thank you for supporting mental health.
That is all the time that we've got for this week's session. We want to thank our special guest, Karie, Nick's sister. Well, formerly.
One of
Yeah,
Nick's
one of
The
sisters.
sister formerly known as Nick's sister. And welcome to Nick's newest sister, Jacob Smith.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're going to be great at the Tangeman family reunion. I'm sure you'll
I
crush.
can't wait.
It will be fun.
Remember, you can find us everywhere on social media. Go to facebook.com/PodTherapy, at PodTherapyGuys on Twitter, and at Instagram at PodTherapyGuys, and at patreon.com/therapy.
You want to submit a question to the show? Ask anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. I'm Nick Tangeman.
I'm Jim Job.
Thanks, and we'll see you for your appointment next week.
And I'm just gonna send Karie like a shirtless picture of myself in like a lounger,
Yeah.
just so she could have that printed and framed. And just
Yeah.
have that in the house when
Yeah.
it gets back there.
I
Yeah.
think I should print it out and see if Mom knows.
Mike.
Oh, we're still recording.
We're still
Sorry.
recording.
Yeah.
I think I should print that out and send it to Mom.